Story. The Finance Minister, Dr Mahamudu has pledged the government's commitment to reducing inflation to single digits by next year with the goal of alleviating the severe economic hardships faced by Ghanaians. Businesses have consistently expressed concerns about their ability to survive in such harsh conditions. But at a town hall meeting on Tuesday, Finance Minister Mahamudu sought to explain some of the concerns raised about the economy, recognizing the untold hardship brought on by his government's decision to go to the IMF.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, on the macroeconomic front, you all can attest to the efforts the government has made. And so if we say we have come around, then we really mean it. We are not deceiving the people of Ghana. A lot has been done, and the economy has really turned around. And we are going to even do better and better and better in the years ahead. Now let me brief you, update you on the debt restructuring, which is one of the major achievements this government has made. We decided to restructure our debts because it was one of the requirements by the IMF. We started with the domestic debt exchange program. The domestic debt exchange program was a very successful program, achieving 95% participation. And on this note, I would like to appeal to the people of Ghana to forgive us. To forgive us. It is never the intention of any government to impose hardships on its people. More so, the MPP government that has demonstrated that we want to reduce the burden of the Ghanaian people. And I will show why this government has, from the beginning, tried to reduce the burden of the Ghanaian people. That same government cannot impose hardships on the same people. It was a necessary, very important decision at the time that if we avoided it, our economy will not recover such as it has recovered today. The decisions we made and all the support you gave us, the people of Ghana, during the DDEP has contributed largely to the recovery our economy is seeing today. And this is why I want to appeal to you to forgive us. But also to thank you, the people of Ghana, to thank you on behalf of the President for the sacrifices, for the efforts that you all have made in participating in the domestic debt exchange program that saved our economy. And so I thank you very much for that support you gave to the government.
Now, he assured the government is committed to reducing inflation to single digits by next year, aiming to alleviate the suffering of Ghanaians.
Inflation, the rate of inflation, headline inflation, in 2015 was 17.7%. In 2016, it came to 15.4%. 17.7 in 2015, 15.4 in 2016. In 2027, when we took government, inflation came down further to 11.8%. The year after, 2018, it became a single-digit inflation. Single-digit inflation in 2018 at 9.4%. Again, in 2019, we had a single-digit inflation of 7.9%. 2 consecutive years, the longest period a government has recorded a single-digit inflation. 2 consecutive years. We have had single-digit inflations in the past. But 2 consecutive years, 24 months of a single-digit inflation was historic. Now, when the Russia-Ukraine war happened, again, as I said, we saw global inflation going up, and ours was also negatively affected. In fact, inflation went up to about 54% in 2022. But again, see the effort we have put into managing inflation in Ghana. In June this year, in 17, 18 months, we have brought inflation down from 54% to 22%. In 17 months, we have more than halved inflation from 54% to 22%. And we are determined to end this year with an inflation rate of 15%. God willing, inshallah, if this party continues in government next year, we are even further determined to bring inflation to a single-digit inflation next year.
Well, in a related development, the finance minister says Ghana's economy has successfully crossed the crisis stage and is growing above the projections of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. He says government is committed to building on the gains with strict adherence to fiscal discipline in a bid to further grow the economy. He was speaking at the 50th anniversary of the Ghana Highway Authorities closing the financing gap in road infrastructure development in Ghana.
The time has come for us to do things differently. And we at the Ministry of Finance will work to ensure investors can be sufficiently supported to deliver a pipeline of bankable projects without cumbersome processes. We also want to look internally to leverage more predictable funding sources, such as pension funds. I can gather, ladies and gentlemen, that pension assets under management reached almost 50 billion Ghana cedis last year. Therefore, we want to work with the regulator and the pension funds to ensure we structure a regime that allows our pension funds to co-invest in commercially attractive infrastructure projects that deliver stable returns on investment. The development of a revised framework for roads and bridge tolls commencing in 2025, for instance, is one measure we believe will ensure that commercial risks are sufficiently mitigated to encourage more pension funds and private financing pools to participate in our road and infrastructure programs. Ultimately, closing the financing gap for road infrastructure in Ghana requires a multi-pronged approach. I am encouraged, therefore, by events such as this, where we can trigger conversations among stakeholders in the road sector with a view to crafting sustainable solutions for funding the expansion of our road network. Undoubtedly, ladies and gentlemen, addressing long-standing issues with our transportation network will not be easy. However, I believe that together we have the ingenuity and willingness to put together solutions that will ensure that we bridge the infrastructure financing gap and create a road network that, over the next 50 years and beyond, will be the envy of our peers on the continent. And I say this very convinced that the economy will grow to support these endeavors. This economy is past the period of economic crisis. We have gone past the period of the crisis. The economy has shown resilience. The economy is growing, defying all odds, growing above World Bank targets, growing above IMF targets. And we are very determined to continue to invest in this economy, to grow and increase our revenue generation, to support government efforts.
Well, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has also been speaking on the current state of Ghana's GDP.
it's very, very clear to me that the private sector is the key, because the budget cannot sustain the financing of roads. I mean, we just don't have those resources in the budget. Otherwise, even if you spend all of it on roads, you still have a shortfall. And we have so many other demands on this very, very narrow budget that we have. So the private sector is the key, and I think we can all agree on that as we think about innovative financing solutions. What is clear to me historically, governments have tried to do too much in the area of roads and commit a lot which really stretches the budget. That seems to be what is going on. And so my view is that you need to shift the burden from government to the private sector. And this is why I have committed as a candidate for the president that when I do my next budget, I'm reducing government expenditure by 3% of GDP in favor of the private sector. That is, we want to realign expenditure from the public sector to the private sector. 3% of GDP is not small. We're talking about 30 billion Ghana cedis, right? So that we want to realign that expenditure. And most of that is going to be in infrastructure and roads, so that you want the financing to be by the private sector. And that, therefore, reduces the burden on government and creates fiscal space at the same time.
Well, the Vice President has also been speaking about what he describes as inequity in road tolls, and has suggested that what he describes as a broad-based tolling to address the challenge.
I would like to also make a suggestion that you could consider. Some may say it is provocative, but I think that when we are looking at innovative ways of financing and we say, well, this has to go to the private sector, tolling is, we say tolls as right now designed in many countries. The tolls, you pay specific tolls at particular points. So you're going on the Accra-Tema motorway, you get a toll booth over there. You go to Kasua, there's a toll booth over there. But it's my view is that we need, if we are going into tolling, we need to think about broad-based tolling. The current architecture that we have in tolling really tends to exclude even the wealthier parts of the population. So if I live in cantonments, East Legon, Ridge, which are the high-end neighborhoods, I will not see a toll. But if I live in Kaswa or somewhere else, I'm likely to meet a toll on the way. There seems to be an inequity in tolling. And I believe that we should look at broad-based tolling. Well, why shouldn't everybody pay? When we put taxes on fuel, we looked at some modeling about a year ago, some modeling on tolling as we were looking at the issue of tolling. I mean, we looked at the current toll revenue as before we abolished the tolls. They were about 70 million Ghana cedis a year. And we said, okay, what if everybody paid? So you put a tax on fuel, for example, 30 pesos or whatever. What if you move, you pay, right? If you don't move, you don't pay. And if everybody pays, you could generate about 2 billion Ghana cedis a year compared to 70 million, right? So that was the thinking. And I think that we should be thinking about methods and that we could make the tolling more broad-based. And And then we all contribute to it, and then the revenue will be much higher. So if you can find a way to do this digitally or whatever, we can do it. I mean, but the whole thinking for me is there's an inequity in tolling. That, you know, some people don't have to bother. But those are the neighborhoods with the best roads. But they don't contribute. Right? So you collect from the poorer areas and do the roads in the richer areas. So anyway, as I said, it's a little provocative. So you can think about it as you discuss. But I believe in broad-based tolling, and we should look.
Well, let's broaden this discussion and bring in development economist Michael AamGardo is with us. A ranking member on Parliament's Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, is also joining us. President of Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, is also with us. Let me start with you, Isaac Adongo, because you are on the Finance Committee. Now, you had the Finance Minister there. They want to ensure they move inflation from where it is now, 22%, to some single-digit inflation by next year. Doable?
They want. What they want is different from what can happen. Didn't they want single digits right from the day they formed the government? They wanted it from then. So if it is about what you want, why are we where we are? We are where we are because you don't have the capacity to manage the economy to deliver what you want. It is the reason the economy delivers to you what your management results are. It's as simple as that. So why should we be discussing wishes? If wishes were horses, beggars will ride, isn't it?
No, but it's been done before. So can they do it? What do they need to do?
This government did not wish to have an inflation of 54%. So if wishes were horses, why were we at 54%? You cannot just say you wish to move it. What are you doing to move it? Have they told you anything they've done to affect the variables that would influence inflation? They haven't. If you are still buying the dollar at 16 cedi, which is driving inflation, and you tell me that all that you want is to get the single-digit inflation, but you are not tackling the driver. You are also aware that food inflation constitutes about 45% of our problem. And we are not doing anything to improve food production in our country to bring down inflation. And you just having wishful thinking. That's what I'm saying. If wishes were horses, of course, beggars will ride. I just listened to, I don't know who was it that was speaking about the tolls.
That's the Vice President, sir.
That is the Vice President. When did he return from, when did he complete school in Simon Fraser? When he was in school in Simon Fraser, he knows that tolls were collected through digital means. Does it have to take him almost 20 years after leaving Simon Fraser to be contemplating digitalizing collection of tolls? I beg your pardon, you should stop wasting our ears. It's not as if he's now going to be the Vice President or head an economic management team. You are currently heading the economic management team. So what stops you? Must you become president before you implement tolls and improve tolls? So please, we are tired of that. Nobody is going to be listening to those wishy-washy comments because you grew up in an environment where you pay tolls by electronic means. Right from the days that you were in London, you were not paying tolls at toll boats. Then you went to Simon Fraser. In Simon Fraser for how many years? After almost 30 years. You are not telling us things that you experienced over 30 years ago, and you want us to take it serious?
Well, but I mean, they've been able to move inflation from 54% to 22%. They want to end this year.
Who moved it to 54%?
Hold on. They want to close this year.
Who moved it to 54%? Did they inherit inflation?
No, but let me ask my question first. They want to end this year with 15%.
It is not what they want to do.
If you look at the trend, doesn't it show that they are on the way, they are doing the right things, and therefore they can really achieve single digit by next year?
That is moving any trend? Can you tell me? Have they told you what they are doing that makes you think that they are moving any trend? It's a base effect.
Okay.
If you move inflation at say 15% to 54%, your economy must be so damaged that you can continue to be upwards. It's obvious that the base is bigger, and the base drift effect is that the cumulative inflation will begin to show a slower growth. That is what it is. But what have they done to bring down any inflation? Are they reversing any price increments that have occurred before? All that they are telling you is that the rate at which the prices are increasing are lower. It is not that the prices are coming down. And I'm saying they have not demonstrated to you any concrete policies that they are putting in place to assure you that what they wish would happen would happen.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. If they have told you, maybe you may share with me, but I'm not aware. And it is not about wishful thinking. It's about managing an economy, and there are variables to manage. So far, we haven't seen you managing those variables, except to leave it as an autopilot. Some of these variables are basically happening, not because there's any deliberate fiscal or monetary policy. It is simply because the rational decisions of economic agents, such as individuals and business, are taking rational decisions that are impacting this. I am not seeing deliberate that is influencing the kind of trend that you want to.
Okay. But I mean, you mentioned that food inflation is high, and of course, yeah, that's the fact. But that is why they've also implemented the PFJ2 to try and deal with the food inflation. Is that not?
When was it implemented? When was the what do you call it? When was it implemented?
They started implementation, I think in July. They started sharing the seeds to the farmers.
What? You planting for food and jobs, you mean?
Yes, I mean the PFJ, the second part.
No, since 2018, when was the inflation 54%? Was it not 2022? Didn't you have planting for food and jobs?
We did.
What are you saying? We are looking at new, innovative, constructive policies that is changing the paradigm.
Okay.
That is bringing about game-changing events. You don't go and start repeating the very things that you did that failed you. Well, we know in this country, when they said that the only thing they can do is to move the Ministry of Agri stop production and is now a retailer of food crops in our country.
Yeah.
Moving food to some market. Is that not it?
Yeah.
And this is it not the planting for food and jobs? Is that the planting for food you are preaching to me?
So what should government do if it wants to tackle the food inflation, for example?
What? He was on the line. You didn't ask him. He is supposed to be proposing policy. Rather, he's about telling people that he's a northerner and the presidency is coming to the north. So he should just be voted for because he's a northerner.
No, he wasn't on the line. But I mean, we all want to build a country. So I'm asking, what should government do?
I'm saying that I am not the one to teach government.
Okay.
Ask them, what is it that government is going to do differently and has done differently? Recently, a question was posed to him about what they were going to do differently. He was still talking about free SHS.
Okay.
You didn't hear that? He was still talking about planting for food and jobs.
Well,
you have 6 months to end the year, and we'll ask you, what are you going to do next? You are still talking about things that have failed you since 2018. And you are now asking me, who is a member of parliament, I don't determine policy, the man who is supposed to drive policy, the man that was believed to be the best brain in economics in our country. Today, you want me to tell him how to manage an economy.
Anyway,
I can only tell Daniel to move him out and bring somebody else.
The finance minister,
it's easy to take the job.
The finance minister says they are sorry. They are sorry, you know, for the harsh economic conditions that we are experiencing now.
That is dishonesty.
Really?
That is dishonesty. Are you sorry because you took us here, or you are sorry because we are suffering? Which is which? You are sorry because you collapsed our bank? You should say so. You are sorry because we warned you that you were borrowing as if there's no tomorrow and you didn't care. You are sorry because you engage in activities where your institutions, banks that are related to you, were the people fronting to borrow for Ghana. Even Ghana didn't need the loan. You needed the fee. So you took your data bank to go and borrow. Is that what you are sorry for? This is dishonesty. Tell us what you are sorry for. Look, there cannot be closure without you admitting the fact that you consciously plunged this country into a mess. They must first admit that. Otherwise, anything they say is lip service and it is dishonesty, and the people of Ghana will not forgive them.
But I mean, some Ghanaians ask that this government apologize to them. They have done so. Not enough.
The apology is there are a series of things. What exactly are they apologizing? Is it COVID-19 they're apologizing for? Because they told us that it is COVID-19. Are they apologizing for Russia-Ukraine war? Is that what they're apologizing for? They are not apologizing for our banks. They've collapsed almost 422 financial institutions. Have they apologized for that? They've apologized. Are they apologizing for the fact that they expanded our public debt from 122 or 120 billion to 746 billion? Is that what they're apologizing for? Are they apologizing for the fact that they took us through a DDEP, that they promised pensioners that they will not give them a haircut and gave them a haircut? Is that what they're apologizing for? They should tell us exactly what they're apologizing for. And you will see the dishonesty in what they are doing. There is really no apology.
Okay.
They are simply playing games with the people of Ghana. They should tell us, is it the Japadia they are apologizing for?
Okay.
Is it the Japadia, the state capture?
Okay. All right. I'm grateful to you. I am grateful to you. But on the banking sector, should they be apologizing? Because they brought reports that indicated that the non-performing loans of some of these banks were just out of the roof. And therefore, that's what...
They collapsed the bank. At the time they collapsed the bank, the non-performing loans were 17%. Today, the non-performing loans is 25% and above. Shouldn't they be apologizing for making it worse?
Well,
you collapse somebody's bank because he recorded a non-performing loan of 17%. You are doing 25% after throwing over 30 billion of our money. And you are saying they don't need to apologize for that?
Okay. All right.
So what have they solved with our 30 billion? If you are now worsening the non-performing loan situation, worse than you came to meet, and it has cost you close to 30 billion to create a non-performing portfolio of about 25%. Okay?
Okay.
You don't think you need to apologize to us for that?
I'm grateful to you.
You need to look the people whose banks you took in the face, the true force of this wealth. You don't think that you need to look them in the face and say, I'm sorry, I was being naive. My agenda was not to make sure that the financial system was healthy. My agenda was that I was pursuing an AJPADF agenda. And I collapsed your bank because you happen to be on the crossfire. Why shouldn't they be telling us that?
Mr. Adongo, I'm grateful to you. I thank you so much. Mr. Adongo, Isaac Adongo is ranking on the Parliament's Finance Committee. Well, let me bring in Michael AamGardo. He is an economist, development economist. Let me engage him now. I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, the finance minister is talking about, what they want to do to ensure that things are done differently. So they want to now ensure they end the inflation, the year with an inflation of 15%, and next year do a single-digit inflation. You really understand, how things play out in an economy like ours. Is this achievable? What should they do differently to achieve that? Okay. So we'll bring in Michael AamGardo to join into this conversation. Again, we also have Dr. Joseph Obeng on this same conversation so that we can engage in it. Now, you heard the Vice President said they are trying to involve the private sector in road construction. I heard him say they want to reduce government expenditure of about 3% of GDP in favor of the private sector. What that means, if I really understood it, means that about 3% of GDP that is supposed to be spent on road construction would be given to the private sector to play in. So about 3% of GDP will be sourced from the private sector to come into the road construction. So, for example, the road from, say, Agoran-Kwanta to Takwa could be given to a private. Now it's been constructed, but just an example. So you give that road to a private contractor, and then he does it. Is that the sort of meaning that they are trying to communicate, that you want the private sector to do it, and then he or she tolls it and retrieves his money, or what is it really? We'll get more education on that one. I think I have Michael AamGardo on the line now. Well, we'll take a very quick break here, but we'll do more on this because there's some more interesting areas for us to look at in this particular pronouncement by the Finance Minister and also by the Vice President. Please do stay with us. We'll be back with more.